Broncos country. Hey, we had a rush to getting to live because Jared here was in trouble with his wife, and we had to protect him. So we're here right on time. Thankfully, we're good to go. Jared is safe and sound. We're good to go there. Look, the Broncos are on a 2-game win streak, guys. We just had our bye week, essentially 3 weeks in a row of good Broncos news. I mean, no news is good news, right? So here we are. Hey, I'm feeling it, man. I'm rolling with it. This is, you got to take what you can get when you're a Broncos fan. And lately, it's been tough. But here we are, 2 wins in a row. We beat the Chiefs. We're going up against the struggling Bills team on the road on primetime Monday Night Football next week, guys. There's a lot of good things to talk about. Now, before we get into all that, make sure you stick around because at the end of the show, David here, David is going to explain to you how to make the perfect cornucopia for your centerpiece at Thanksgiving dinner. Guys, that time is right around the corner. Thanksgiving's going to be here. David is a master at cornucopias, believe it or not. He'll tell you all about that. But before we get into that and other Broncos talk.
How do you spell that? Cornucopia. Just go to the cussing. Go to the cussing.
Will do. Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news. Welcome, Broncos country, to what's going to be an awesome show. Lots of good things to talk about. And the very first good thing to talk about is John is here. John made it somehow.
There he is.
I think
Welcome
John is
to
the
the
new
show.
Jared. John is the new Jared. So, you're late.
2 minutes.
You're
2
late.
minutes.
You're late. Anyway,
I'm late.
it's something
I
to talk
understand
about.
that. 2 minutes.
Is it? Were you 2 minutes early though, or were you 2 minutes late?
There's something going on there. But
Absolutely.
hey, guys.
I'm confused by the question.
Hey guys,
It seems very obvious what the
doesn't
answer
matter.
is.
Yeah, it does. But here we are.
We have everybody here.
Broncos have
What's
won 2
going
in a
on?
row.
Wow,
This is
wait a minute.
crazy.
Say it again, Kevin. Just let it wash over me.
2 games in a row, and we beat the Chiefs, which I am still on cloud 9 about. Right, this is just cannot get over that. But so let's go through it. Jared, man, how you doing? What you think?
Right now, I'm looking at a bunch of pictures of cornucopias, but in general, I'm excited. Obviously, I'm still riding the high from the Chiefs win. We talked about it, that being not like a last minute win, like somehow something crazy happened, crazy bounce. Like we actually controlled the ball for the most of the game. The defense played very well. Now it's just to see if we can come out of the bye and do it. The other thing I want to mention, and I'm sure we'll get into it before we really go, we did have good news on this bye week, Kev. We're getting a brand new $200 million practice.
insane.
That Walmart money is going to good use, and it's all player centric. It said it's going to be like increasing like an extra, like, I don't know how much, but a whole bunch of extra player amenities
30%.
for the players. 30% to the player amenities so that players want to come play in Denver. And it has a pretty cool look to it. I'm excited for that Walmart money to go to good use.
Shop at your local Walmart.
Yeah, right.
Nice,
Mr.
commercial there, Spotty.
Mr. Jared.
We got to pay for it somehow, right?
We do.
I'm confused how a practice facility wouldn't be geared towards the players. I mean,
Well, there have been talks about,
isn't every
areas
practice
for like
facility?
spectators and stuff,
Well,
during
right.
training camp.
Well, John, considering the Avalanche and the Nuggets don't even have a practice facility,
That's very true.
Anything
That's-
is good.
It's very true.
I'll take it. I mean, I'm excited about it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just interesting that you would like hype up the fact that it's for the players. It seems like a practice facility would be for the players, not the fans.
No, a lot of it's staff, and they have it separated. There's a whole thing, but this one's going to be like a combined, like instead of having like the assistant offensive coordinator having a 200 square foot office, like they gave it to the players.
But now Russell Wilson's not the only one who could have their only office.
Yo, there it is.
I'm excited for it. I mean, it's good news all around. Happy for it, no matter what percentage goes to the players and however it shakes out. It's good news all around, regardless. But yeah, and the other big news since we last talked was like no big trades happened during the deadline, right?
Yes.
So that's
so what does that tell you? Like what message
interesting
does that send to you? Because I'm surprised. I really am.
Oof. I mean, the most obvious message that jumps off the page is that Sean Payton really meant it when he said that we could still compete for a playoff spot.
David,
no, listen to me, John. Listen to me, John.
David.
I'm not saying this is what I believe. I'm saying this is what I believe Sean Payton believes. I'm saying this is why there are no trades. This is why Jerry Jeudy and Justin Simmons are still on this team. And frankly, guys, I want to talk about this specifically. Jerry Jeudy for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. I'd say no. What about you guys?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that's good. Man, maybe we're all just being homers here and overvaluing the player. Spotty, what do you got?
Well, if you really think about it, look at all the contracts that wide receivers are getting paid out right now. We're paying Jerry Jeudy on a rookie contract, and his second contract's not going to be very expensive. I think it's great. A 3rd and a 5th, maybe you luck out and you get, somebody like an AJ Brown or something like that. And I don't even think, So it's like, do you take a product that's already built or you put it out there? I mean, I think when we kind of mentioned, and we might have talked a little bit about it, we stuck at what we wanted to get from those players. If we were going to move from them, this is what we wanted. Everybody, lowballed. Take a look at the Bears, right, or the Commanders, right? They got away. They sold their defense for nothing, basically. So I like it. Stay true to it.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's see. A lot of people still commenting on the Chiefs game. And what we really want to look at today, I think, is reviewing the first half of the season in general. Because that's part of what the coaches do during their bye week is they go through and more or less look at what was working, what wasn't working, how can we change things up, right? So, what do you guys think in terms of if you're Sean Payton, what was working the first half of the season? You definitely want to continue.
For my sanity, can we actually just focus on the last 2 games instead of
I think that's a fair point.
Because if we start going, if we start going whole first half of the season, we're going to go back to sad.
I'm talking about generalities, which I then included on good things that we're going to focus on moving forward. All right. Let's look at the last 2 games because those are the most 2 complete games from the Broncos that honestly we've seen in years. Right. So, I mean, what do you guys think?
It's really the tale of two halves of the season for us right now, right? Where I know you're like 4 games,
2 halves of a half, yeah.
Like you had to really think about it. Okay, so 3 and 5, and the first 4 games, I forgot them already. I don't even remember what happened in any of those games.
Yeah, lots of bad.
We lost 3 of them.
So I pretend that I don't remember what happened in those games, but the last 3.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. No, and so I guess generalities, I feel like the offense right now kind of is what it is, which is a 30% better, maybe 40% better. All right, let me ask you this. Grade the offense better than last year as a percentage. 30, 40, 50%. Ooh. What do you think?
10.
10? Okay.
I would say 20 at the most.
Okay.
It still is like us trying to bust 20 points is rough.
It's struggling. Go ahead, John.
I mean, I got to say, again, if we're looking at all the games in the first half of the season, I got to say 50% better because it feels like we have scored 50% more points in every game on average compared to last year. And that's all we asked for last year, by the way, just to kind of throw that out there. Granted, it's a whole new system. It's a different coach, but we won't 50 to answer your question, 50%.
Okay. I love
50%.
I love it. I love hearing different answers on this question. This is good.
We could go with the logistical, right? What's the Pro Football Focus say about our offense? And what's Pro Football Focus say about last year? And then you take that average, you can throw some algebra in there, you get some percentages.
Oh, Dave, I'm sorry, Spotty. I was with you, but then you said the word algebra.
David's asking us to do math and percentages right now. I don't have my hibiscus here.
No.
Yeah, does that do algebra? Is that are you able to do advanced math on that?
Only if he writes letters on the little bees.
Jared.
You got to write the letters on the little bees.
Was that the first thing you packed?
Somehow, yeah, I think it got packed already. I don't know what happened.
Oh, boy.
I'll look up that Pro Football Focus. I'm interested to see. I mean, we are what 31st ranked offense last year.
Yeah.
So and I think we're in middle of the pack, like 15. I'll look it up real quick, but I think
we're a little lower, but still.
Probably in the 20s, but not. Yeah,
high 20s.
High 20s.
I'd say that. I'd say that we're at least 50% better. I mean, we had more touchdowns in the first 3 games than we had all season last year.
It's true. Do you guys remember 2 years ago when we had one opening drive touchdown on the entire season?
Nope, don't want to think about that. Don't want to go there.
But how many times has it happened this season already? It's
only once.
We're the 18th ranked defense right now. We're 18th offense. 18. Now, we're 32nd ranked defense, and I think we're going to end there. Regardless, we could probably not let a single. I don't think we could let another team score a touchdown for the rest of the season, and we'll still be there. Just that one game ruined everything for them.
Give up 1,000 yards in one.
Yeah, 1,000 yards and 70 points.
70 points. Now that being said, for the defense, I think they're a top 5 ranked red zone defense in the last 3 games. So now let me ask you guys going forward. Do you think, and I really think that this is sustainable. I'll preface it by saying this, because I do think they have found players on the back end that can actually run the scheme they want. I think they have got, I think Vance Joseph, especially having Justin Simmons back, I think having Justin Simmons back, having an actual coach on the field, essentially, has been really, really key for the defensive backfield. Really, if you go back and look at those first games, and especially that Miami game, it was blown assignments in coverage. It was not that the defense just simply didn't have players that could keep up with the other teams. They just didn't know where they were supposed to be. They didn't know what they were supposed to be doing, and it really showed, and that has really, I think, tightened up in the last few games on the back end. Do you guys think that is sustainable enough going forward to make it like a bottom half, 15 to 20 defense instead of a 30-second defense for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, if you take away that one Miami game, I think we could get there. And another piece of it too. And normally you listen to the interviews, you listen to guys like Justin Simmons get to the interview, things like, what was the key to the game? And he's like, communication. Mm-hmm. I fully believe that's exactly what our problem was. And you looked at that Miami game, and I mentioned it, that first Tyreek Hill touchdown. I've said it probably 15 times on the show. That first, it was blown coverage because they were not communicating who had what.
Yeah.
And a lot of Vance Joseph defensive system is communicating. It's fluid. It's not like you're going to be here, you're going to be here on this play. It's very fluid based on what happens with the offense. And it just took a little bit of time for that to develop. That's what I want to believe. And now that they're communicating better, they understand the system a little bit better. You're starting to see things like playing well against Kansas City.
We're going to find
really well against Kansas City.
Quick. We're going to find out real quick if this is, because, we're talking about the first half, and we're going to continue to talk about that. But outside of the Vikings, there's quite the gauntlet that the Broncos have for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Absolutely.
I agree with you there. I don't know if I agree with you there.
But I think they're winnable.
I'm not saying that they're not. But the thing about it is, if it's not sustained success, right?
Yeah.
This is not a sustained defense. We're going to find trouble, okay? Because we're going to be playing an angry Bills team. The outliers probably the Vikings, but then Josh Dobbs showed that he's very capable of not knowing the offense and running out. And then we've got the Browns, who actually might have the worst offense out of that. Then we go Texans, Chargers, and then the Lions. Right? So we're talking about a variable top 10 offense almost every other week at this point. So we're going to find out if this defense is. I just watched CJ Stroud do some dirty things this weekend. And it's quite possible that if we don't have that dog mentality in us, that we're going to be looking at another 40-point game right there.
Ooh, anything could happen there. Yeah. Yeah.
And not to be a downer. Sorry, John, it looks like you have something to say.
Wow. Kevin.
Just do it.
That was the nicest thing ever. But
I got you, man.
I will agree with you here, Spotty. This is a pivotal game, and it's going to show us what the next at least quarter of the season is going to look like for this. If we show up, I have a lot more faith in those next following 3 games. If we don't show up, then look, I don't know if I have faith against anybody in the NFL. So it doesn't matter who we're playing. So that's literally the balance I've felt with the Broncos this year. So if we can sustain, and I love the energy we bring into this Bills game. I think it's there. But yeah, if we show up and we have a dud, I'm not going to have any confidence going up against Minnesota the following week, or
any
the Browns, or the Vikings, or the Texans. Literally any
or the Lions.
Team, put them on the schedule. I won't have confidence until they prove it again.
I'd say this is back to. I mean, I think we fell out of talking about make or break games or must win games, but I think we're back. We've earned our way back to saying, hey, this is a must-win game, just like you're talking about. I completely agree. Looking at the schedule, I don't see if we drop a dud here, man, that's because the only concern I have here is when you look at hockey playoffs, a team sweeps one in 4 games, but now they have to sit and wait for the other series, their matchup to be over, right? And so there's always that talk about, are they going to get cold? Are they going to lose that momentum? And good teams are able to just work through that, right? It's not a problem. They pick up right where they left off. But here the Broncos have a great opportunity, probably the best opportunity laid in front of them in years. They're improving dramatically, especially over the last 2 games, have a ton of momentum, especially after beating the Chiefs. But now they've had a bye. And so, I think Sean Payton, being the experienced coach he is, he knows how to keep the team motivated, but it's up to the players to go out there and actually execute it, right? So it's going to be interesting to see if they go out there, if they've lost that momentum, if they kind of, just lost that step. And part of it's not just that, but like they're saying in the comments here, this team's finally gelling. And so when the team's finally gelling, that's really bad timing to take a 2-week break. So I know they're still practicing and stuff, but still. Anyway, those are my concerns. And what do you guys think about any of that? And just tell me I'm way off my rocker if that's
it might be the perfect time for a bye. If you ask me, it might be the perfect time for a bye. And so you take all of that, and then you give us 10 days to prepare for one of the better teams and normally one of the better teams in the NFL. That's not necessarily as put together as you might expect. And then you're going to give us extra days to prepare for them. It could the Chiefs game could have started the momentum. We truly might be, jumping on that bike downhill if we can come into this game and at least even remain competitive. I mean, I think the worst case scenario is that, I don't even want to say it, actually. I don't want to say what the worst case scenario is. I think the best thing that could possibly happen for us is that we take everything that we've had and we come into a team that's already struggling and ride the wave from there.
Real quick, Spotty, since you're on a roll here, are the Bills team the best team we have left on our schedule if you look at it today?
Ooh.
No. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say no.
Lions?
I'm going to say no. And the reason I say no is that there's a couple of things about this Bills team that is – this not the build of the last 3 years, the one that's dominated the AFC East after Tom Brady left. Okay, they're hurt on the they're hurt on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
They're hurt on some of the offensive line. They don't have a run game, in which they normally don't have a run game. But you add in the fact that Josh Allen also isn't contributing to the run game like he has before. He's also very hurt. You know what? This is gonna be the craziest thing. You might think I'm crazy. It might be the Lions.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I might agree with you there.
Could be, absolutely.
Especially being on the road.
Yeah. No, and that run tandem the Lions have scares the hell out of me.
Run tandem with wide receivers, and they have a top 10 defense for a run against the run.
Yeah,
it's just if they had any kind of cornerback, man,
right?
They'd be freaking trouble.
Yeah.
Here's my problem is, and I was originally thinking the Lions, but as I'm looking at this, I say it's one of the 2 Chargers games, and I don't know which one yet, and I don't think the Chargers know which one yet. But we're guaranteed to get one of those 2 games.
We're getting one of those.
We're getting one of those. Absolutely.
We'll get one of them, but the other one, for some reason, the Chargers are going to ball out, and it's going to be like, who are you, and where did you come from? And then
it's the same every year with the Chargers.
Every year. So it's
one
of those
1-to-1 ratio there.
The Chargers last night looked very good. They got 8 sacks, and granted,
oh my gosh.
Granted, it's against Nathaniel Hackett's offense, and we know what that looks like.
There's an asterisk,
Yeah. But last night's Chargers team, they look
good.
They did.
But they're the Chargers.
They will now bomb for a few games, which is
well. And the week before, it was Kansas City the week before for the Chargers. Did Kansas City go Broncos, Chargers, Broncos? Was that their schedule? Anyway, the Chargers let up, I think, like 350 yards of offense in the first half in that game. So it's just a Chargers season again over there.
And the Chargers. Trust me. Coming from a family of Chargers fans, like
Broncos, Chargers, Broncos. Yeah, they lost. Yeah. They lost to the Chiefs 31-17.
Yep. So it's just, and then we beat the Chiefs 24-9. So it's been.
And then the Chiefs beat the Dolphins.
That doesn't make
21-14.
The circle. If you see the circle, it's already been completed for the year as of like 2 weeks ago.
And guys, and this is what really makes me nervous about the next 5 weeks. Because looking at this schedule, you're right. Like any of these games could go any way. Is the way the team is playing now, and you don't know because you haven't seen it consistently, right? And so, my fear is that we've talked about it plenty, but my fear is like they do the thing where they beat the Bills, and then everybody thinks they've got all this momentum going into the Vikings game, and then they lose to the Vikings, and so we just go back and forth for the rest of the season, and we finish 7-10.
It's the Broncos. It's the Broncos fan. Yeah, it's the Broncos fan roller coaster. It's like start terrible. Everybody wants to fire everybody. We don't fire everybody. Like, guys, we got this. Don't trade anybody. Don't fire anybody. And then we go into the second half, win a couple really good games like the Chiefs and the Bills, and then lose games we should win. Like, I don't know, like the Vikings or I don't know, the Browns. Like, like those teams. And then we finish off missing the playoffs, but still getting like a 16th pick in the draft.
Yeah. Just like you said in that, I'm so mad about that, Jared, because it rings.
Right.
It's so real.
It's traumatizing how real it is. Here, though, is what gives me hope. What if they run the ball like they did in the game against the Chiefs for all of the next 5 games? Yep. What if they just pound the rock with Jamal, or one G, Devontae, thank you, and Samaje, and just decimate teams in time of possession, chew up the ground yards, and
hire him out.
Work.
Okay. To this, and this is the time. If this is where Sean Payton could get me on board with him. Okay, we brought in an experienced head coach that's been in the NFL for a long time. That would say the one part of the Broncos team that really hasn't picked up the momentum in the last 3 weeks is the offense. He is given 2 weeks to come out and put up 28 points on the freaking Buffalo Bills if we were working on it. You want to get me on board? Show me that you can make the adjustments that are necessary on the bye to carry us into the next couple of weeks. Because if we tote out this exact same offense that we've had for the last 3 or 4 weeks, that variable gauntlet that we're looking at is going to look real bad real freaking quick.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you. And so here's the overall, like in the second half, we have 9 games left. We're 3-5 in the first 8. We have 9 games left. Realistically, we could lose 3 of those games and still be relatively in playoff contention and talking about if we keep the AFC West. We're still looking at a lot of these. Right. So we could go 6-3. And those 3 games might be losses to like the Patriots. Right?
Oh God.
But as long as we go 6-3 in the second half of the season, we're doing okay. Now I don't want to take the first 3. I don't want to take a loss this week and be like, oh, that's one of our 3 losses. Like obviously we want to hold on to them for like some of the bigger games like Detroit and obviously we want to beat the Bills coming up this week. Maybe the Texans. Hopefully we don't lose to the rookie, but he was looking really good.
The rookie, I don't know, man. He
looks good.
He's playing top. No, like the whole season. He's been playing like top 10 quarterback this entire season. And Bryce Young, put Bryce Young behind the Texans' offensive line and put CJ Stroud behind Carolina's offensive line. And see what happens.
That's true.
But
the weapons that
right. Oh, yeah. All right. Different situations. We're off topic. What are we saying?
Well, let me. Yeah, go for it.
Can I just we talk about roller coasters. If you guys are talking about us beating the Bills and then we just fail from there, like,
see, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see that. I don't see that happen because
like
That was my prediction.
Being a Broncos fan, like, this is our roller coaster. This is the peak right now. If we're gonna fail,
giving us hope.
We've done in previous seasons, this is our peak where we are.
That's true.
Beating the Chiefs.
Remember
we
this.
go and beat the Bills and then we fall. Like, that is a whole new level for me.
It's a new peak.
I'm not
It's a
saying
new
it's
peak.
impossible, but oh
At
my
least
God,
we beat
if
the
that
Chiefs.
happens, I will fucking lose my mind.
In Colorado mentality, we're currently at a 13er. We're about to hit a 14er next week if we beat them, and then it's downhill. Like, we just there's no 15er.
If we're gonna fail and fuck up this whole season, this is the peak right here. Okay, this is when it happens, and that's. I mean, going up against the Bills, I'm not expecting a win. Honestly, like, seriously, going into this game, I'm not expecting a win. I'm just hoping that they keep it close, because if they keep it close, then those next 3 games, we can keep momentum going even by getting a loss. Is my point there. Sorry, I know I backtracked there, but you guys drove me crazy with that, thinking we're gonna beat the Bills and then go down on a downward spiral. Like,
no,
I'm trying to prepare us for misery.
Like, and this is the thing. The good thing for me, if that does happen, is they already got 70 dropped on them this season. So I already hit my low point. So yeah, the fall, if we beat the Bills and then lose to the Vikings the next week, the fall may be faster, like steeper, but it won't be a rock bottom.
And at least we beat the Chiefs.
Okay, I mean, I promise you, we always say that, but it can get worse.
Oh, you're right. No, it
can always get worse. There's 80 points out there.
There's 80 points out there.
There's 80 points to give up out there.
No, here. So we're talking about
so
momentum, right? Momentum seems to be the key word of the night. I want to include in their belief. They beat the Bills. They go 4-5, and they're done with the Chiefs this year, right? And that's been the big thing we've talked about every year. If we can beat them at least once, they're going to start really believing in themselves and going, guys, we can get to the motherfucking playoff. You know what I mean? And that's what they're going to. That's belief. They're going to believe it, man. They're going to see themselves and they say, okay, look at who the teams we've taken down over the last 3 weeks. Okay. Yeah, Green Bay, but then the Chiefs and the Bills. Okay, let's get this. Let's keep this train rolling. Let's get to the freaking playoffs. Okay, so there's motivation, and then there's playing for something bigger, other than just to, save face at the end of the season, right? And that's something that these guys haven't seen. This is where we have a head coach that has been here before that can instill that belief in these players, right? So it starts with this week, but man, then we get things going, and I'm not going to say that I'm not going to talk about us being in the playoffs, but I'm going to talk about us having belief that we can get there then. And that impact on that can have a huge impact on a team. So it'd be amazing to see these guys go out there and actually have that mindset of, yeah, we've been saying we want to get to the playoffs, but now we're playing like we're going to get there. Like we're going to fight tooth and nail to get there. And if they fall short, hey, they fought tooth and nail to get there and they just fell a little short. That's going to set up a ton of great things and topics for the offseason and going to next season, right? So yeah, there's a lot on this game as well, because to see that in those players and to feel it in the stands, I tell you what, the last 5 minutes of that Chiefs game, I know I talked about it last week, but that feeling was there. It was there. I don't know, guys. There's a lot riding on this game.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see.
True. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, Jerry. Yeah, we need. You're right. You're right. Let's see. No one's perfect, Jerry. I'm sure your daughter's a nice person, but
I'm right there with you.
She goes through it hard enough. Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Are we watching you buy something on Etsy or something right now?
Yeah, I'm buying the Ted Lasso believe sign for Kevin.
Yes.
Let's
see how this game goes first, and then I might buy that sign. I love it.
Did I see your credit card information on that screen?
No.
No, take that down.
Already screenshotted.
We talked about.
I've been needing new memorabilia.
Memorabilia for all. Go on.
We've been talking about the importance of the Bills game, but now let's talk about and really focus on what does this team need to do to make that happen, right? So we've talked about we need to see Sean Payne come out here with changes and adjustments to the offense, keeping the defense strong. What does that look like to you guys? What are you looking for on the offense other than just scoring more points, which is, the bottom line factor? But what else is going to tell you that we've made the appropriate adjustments and, we're moving in the right direction there?
I got one, and you hit the word right, adjustments. Even in the games that we played well offensively, we're not adjusting in the second half very well. Our first half, or going into the game, we're playing very well, but somehow in the second half, we just can't adjust to be able to score in the second half, to be able to do whatever we need to. Now, the Kansas City game, a little bit different, right? We had a lead, so we were trying to control the clock. We weren't really trying to score, but we were trying to control the clock, so it was a lot more running and whatever.
Well,
but
we
just haven't seen it.
And they also get 10 points in the fourth quarter in the Kansas City game, which looks like a positive, but then you realize they got 10 points off of 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter of the Kansas City game.
Well,
and is that going to be something you see often? Probably not. So yeah, you're totally right. That's
what I want to see. It's just improving the second half, improving the adjustments. We know that we could score on the first drive now, which is something that, Broncos country hasn't had in 7 years. So I'm happy for that. But I would also like to score in the second half.
On some of the other drives.
Yeah.
I will say we are 2 games in a row now where we came out in the second half, third quarter, first drive on offense and scored a touchdown, I believe, against the Packers. I believe, and we put ourselves in scoring position against the Chiefs. It was a blocked field goal, and it was a great play on special teams. So I do like that they're progressing on offense to come out of the second half at least.
There's
now, I'm not saying that the rest of the third quarter was pretty by any means in either of those games, but at least there's that to build on, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Without stealing too much thunder for the pregame.
Thank you, Spotty.
I know
Be
that
careful.
Talk about. I believe that it's a very similar game plan to that we had against the Chiefs. The difference in the game plan for the Chiefs is that the Bills have a more dangerous threat at wide receiver, and you're going to have to contain Josh Allen a little more than you would for Pat. Matt Holmes is more likely to create with his legs to throw, while Josh Allen's going to create running down the field.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's not a lot different. And if we can grind the clock, you can keep Josh Allen on the sidelines. That you could take that game plan in any game. Keep the other quarterback on the bench and grind out the clock on your side, give your defense some rest. I think it's going to be big. I think y'all talked about it a little earlier in the fact that if we can run the football, if we're going for 40 times, I'm about running the ball 40 times, and Russ only gets 20 passes. That means that we are in control, unless it's a real bad game.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if we can grind out on the ground, I think we're going to find some success against this Buffalo team.
Yeah. So Andrew, you had a good comment here. We're not saying that we need to open it up and score faster in the second half. I'm down for running the ball. Running the ball is just we're talking about offensive second half. I'm not talking about putting up 300 yards in the air. I'm talking about the difference between a power and an inside run. I'm talking the difference between an inside run and an outside zone. We're talking even in the running game, we need to be able to adjust so that we're not getting stuffed for 2 yards or -1 yard every time we run the ball in the second half. A lot of the times you saw us, we had, I think, 7 yards per carry or something. And there was a game we had 6 yards per carry. We're doing well in the yards per carry. We just need to be able to adjust in the second half because that's what had happened. I think in the Commanders game, we tried to control the clock in the second half, but we couldn't do anything because the runs were getting stuffed and we weren't adjusting for the runs that were getting stuffed. We should have been trading it up. We should have been going power. We should have been doing inside zone or outside zone.
You're right. I will also say that you're not going to run up against many defensive lines like Washington's in a season. And frankly, you won't run up against that same defensive line anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah. Why couldn't we play that defensive line? We got screwed.
I think a big difference is what we do on second down. I am sick and tired of seeing a wide receiver bubble screen, thinking that's going to go.
That's what I
first down. We got stuffed a little, so on second down, we're going to throw it out there to them, or even better yet, we're going to throw it onto a running back screen. I'm sorry, we have not been very successful in that, and then we're putting ourselves in a bad spot for third down, and apparently the plays downfield aren't open for us unless it's Cortland Sutton, and usually it's just going for a touchdown anyways if it's going to him.
Yeah,
I think our running back screens have been working. I don't know.
I think you remember.
What team are you watching?
That
I know our wide receiver screens are not working. Wide receiver.
You're right. And the running back
stuff
screens
isn't
really
going terrible.
I will tell you the running back screen, the longest one's gone for is like 7 yards.
No, because I feel like Jaleel McLaughlin scored at least 2 touchdowns in the red zone, in the high red zone on a running back.
I think we're one of the more effective running back screen teams in the NFL right now.
Now,
I don't know how you check that, John.
Let me
because I heard it on ESPN or something like that.
Let me change the subject because talking about screens is tedious. I think
Thank you, David. Thank you.
It's about as tedious as watching the team run them. But I will say that I think the key matchup for this team is going to be specifically Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Because I think Stephon Diggs has proven over his Bills career and his career in general, I'm going to bust out a fancy word here, to be a very mercurial type of man. A guy who, if
you get that, is that an STD? What is that?
No, let me follow up on that.
MECUR.
That's what you take after you get the STD.
Why?
No,
Mercury.
Right. No, so he is a guy that if you get him off his game early in a game, if you get him frustrated, if you get him feeling like the offense isn't looking at him enough, or is he's open but not getting opportunities, you can get him and Josh Allen off of the same page. And if you do that, the entire Bills offense becomes a different proposition because they really don't have a second wide receiver or receiving threat that makes you go, ooh, I'm worried about that guy beating us by himself.
Dalton Kincaid, a tight end. And you know how we are with tight ends.
You're right, but Dalton Kincaid hasn't shown it to me this year. I've heard the hype about Dalton Kincaid, but what are we seeing from Dalton Kincaid?
Well, he just had 81 yards in the last game.
Oh, 81 yards. Let me write home.
Okay.
I mean Travis Kelce, but it's bad enough where like it'd be like a Darren Waller-esque kind of player against us.
Yeah.
Like when we think that we have them down and out, they're going to be calling Dalton Kincaid's number, but you're right. Other than that, other than Stephon Diggs, you could probably flip a coin and go through all those other wide receivers. And I'll tell you one thing, this is the time for the Broncos. You know, the worst part of the Broncos defense is still their run defense.
Yeah.
Run defense, okay.
Yeah, we are still the worst team in the league by run defense because we're giving up 150 yards a game.
We had 400 in one game. 400 in one game.
If you take away that one game, I'm interested to see
we how much we give up to the Bears? 118 yards to Khalil.
It wasn't pretty in those first four.
Okay, so we've improved, and but even Isaiah Pacheco in the first game against the Chiefs. Beyond all of that, this is the time for us to stop them because if we can keep them on 2nd and 8, and Josh Allen is going to throw the football, we know he's going to hold on to the football. You know that he's trying to find that bomb. He's trying to laser somebody downfield, and he's probably going to make at least one mistake. He's, I believe, 5 games straight with an interception right now. He's more prone to give for turnovers than Mahomes is, and we just scorched Mahomes.
Yeah,
and we're 3 games in a row with an interception, right? Defense getting an interception. I think we're at least 2, if not 3.
Yeah,
3.
Sure.
3. So,
as I pull up Pro Football Focus, I will 100% take away from the pregame podcast. You want to hear more great takes like this? Make sure you're following the podcast. So Josh Allen is the number 1 overall ranked quarterback still on Pro Football Focus, the number 1 overall rated quarterback. So he's still got it in him. Yeah, he's had a couple of rough games, but we've also had a couple good games somehow. So let's see how this turns out. But you know who I'm really worried about, though? I'm not worried about Gabe Davis. Okay, sure, right? If they end up having to go to Gabe Davis, I think we control him. I'm worried about James Cook and not in the run game. I'm worried about him in the pass game.
Here it comes.
I'm worried about him in the flats. I'm worried about him on the screens. We can't stop the flats. We don't do a very good job of stopping the running backs in the flats.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about them getting the ball because they do a very good job of getting on the ball, and a lot of it's just dump offs. But I'm worried about him going out in bubbles, going out in the flats, and him having a pretty big. Even if it's one or two big plays, it's still one or two big plays that we can't afford.
Good practice.
That might make more sense than what to expect from the Bills, because what we've been saying is, I think if they're looking at this, they know that Stefan Diggs against Pat Surtain, essentially, that's probably not going to go their way, right?
Well, so here's the other thing. What's Vance Joseph going to do? Are we gonna shadow Stefan Diggs with we have not shadowed once? So if you're the Bills, I'm putting Stefan Diggs on the opposite side the entire game until they change their plan.
And this is
Boston Moreau.
Are we making adjustments? Are we?
Well, and they did, and that's the thing. They at least made the adjustment of not starting Damari Mathis. Fabian Moreau has started both of the last games. Yeah, and been serviceable at the very least. Jaquan McMillan also in the slot has been really good over the last two games.
Yeah, he is.
So that's
but how many times are you going to allow Stefan Diggs to beat up on Moreau before you switch it up and start following him around? Or do we start the game that way, knowing that they got one good, serviceable wide receiver? We have one of the best corners in the league, and then the other guy's a serviceable corner that can go up against a serviceable wide receiver.
I just don't see why you go in there and not put PS2 on Diggs. I just don't see why you don't just start with that.
It may not even be necessary. What did the Bengals do? I'm not.
I don't know.
The Bengals
That's a great question.
Actually known for their secondary.
I mean, I can see that. Still 81 yards on 6 catches, or 86 yards on 6 catches. That's not Stefan Diggs' numbers right there. That's what we just did to Kelsey, basically. We will give up 86 yards to Diggs and feel good about it.
You're not going to stop him, but you can't give him Tyreek Hill, AJ.
You can control him. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's a win.
I think if we give up less than 100 yards to Stefan Diggs, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I am curious. I mean, do you? In all reality, I don't think this is going to happen. Do you guys really think that are we gonna put Surtain to shadow Diggs? I don't see it happening.
I don't think we're gonna play that much man. I think it's gonna be a lot of zone. I think there's just gonna be a lot of focus on where he's at. It's just going to be a lot, again, talk about communication. We're going to be in zone and be like, all right, hey, you guys know where Stefan is. Let's make sure that we're watching where he's going and don't make the same mistakes we made against Miami with Tyreek Hill. Let's make sure we know where this guy is at on the field at all times and make sure that we're not leaving that zone open wherever he's heading. I mean, overall, I think we're just going to play a lot of zone and just keep it the way it is unless something goes terribly wrong in the first half and we have to make adjustments. But I don't want to think about that scenario. I think we're going to be playing it like Chiefs and we're going up in the first half.
2 weeks to prepare. 2 weeks to prepare.
2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
We could throw some wrinkles, man, because you were even talking about James Cook, man. Maybe we finally see those Drew Sanders packages that we were promised, during the preseason. He's also he's a better cover linebacker than the other two.
Is
smaller in size, where he's not going to be the one that you want out there trying to stuff the run.
Yeah.
Although
shout out Drew Sanders for recovering that fumble on special teams last week.
Yeah.
Man, how about this Broncos special teams? I know we bring it up a lot.
Night and day, David. Night and day in the last few years.
Really, it's so nice.
7 years.
So nice, right? And it's not like they got a revolution of players or anything like that. It's just competent coaching now, finally.
Changing it up. Yeah.
What, 3 or 4 special teams coaches over the years, None of them came close to getting it right. And it's exactly what it is.
I will say, you got to give shout out to last year was good. No?
I don't remember.
He was our interim coach for the last 3 years or 3 games. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
Wasn't good.
I'll say this: it's a microcosm of it all to me. Remember, it was the first punt that the Chiefs muffed, and the guy he was going to call a fair catch, or he wasn't going to. He didn't call a fair catch. Our guy was standing right in front of him. Did he call fair catch on a little joke? Anyway, the guy stands right in front of him and doesn't interfere with the catch and lets him drop it on his own. It's just there's a lot of pressure in that moment. A ton of things are going through your mind, and you have to do it right. And he was rewarded.
I mean,
and not just that, but then you saw the other guy come flying in after he dropped it to pick it up. Like it wasn't just him that made it to the ball. It was the other guy that I was more impressed by. The other guy who like was full speed and ended up sliding into the ball to grab it and controlled it.
You're right.
Not to mention the other side of special teams, Marvin Mims just having an amazing return at least once a game, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then Will Lutz has been pretty clutch since week 1. You know?
This is going to sound like a weird compliment because it is. But shout out to Marvin Mims for being a little guy who doesn't play football like a little guy.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, that's true.
Montreal Washington was a small.
You can say that because you're not a little guy. Dude.
You're right, and I also can't play football, so that it's fair trade off. But Marvin, like, remember Montreal Washington was a little guy who ran really fast, but when he laid a finger on him, he was down. That was it. One hit and he was out. And Marvin Mims is not like that. He runs like a heavier player, and it's really fascinating.
You know what's crazy? I didn't know until just now he's only 5'11".
Really?
182, 5'11", 182.
Yeah,
he is
Marvin's
small.
a little guy.
I did not realize. I thought he was like a 6 foot, 200 normal wide receiver.
Hey man, the little wide receivers.
That's tall for Kevin.
Take over.
All right.
Oh yeah, well that's a giant for Kevin. Yeah.
I have to yell, project my voice. So you guys can't see it, but this desk is really low. It's really low to the ground. I had to cut off.
It's all about angles, Kev. You're looking.
It is. That's all about angles. It looks like I'm normal sized here, but seriously, there's like 5 feet of space between my head and the ceiling when I stand up.
Notice for the rest of us, he's a lot closer to the top. He's trying to compensate for the for the angle. There it is.
Love you, Kev.
You can't do a show without getting at least one short joke in, man. We can't. We're at 46 minutes. You're lucky.
I'm surprised. We should start taking bets on how long it takes.
Well done. Set it up too easy.
It was good. It was good.
Little wide receivers are making it big in the league again.
Yeah, that's
true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very true.
Oh.
And I love it. I love the short wide receivers in the slots has always been like one of my favorite things. People hate it because like
on a certain.
No, just my favorite things in general. Just
did you say like Wes Welker's kind of play?
Brandon,
like Wes Welker. Yeah, Brandon. Yeah. So you see him in there. Like people don't like it. Like a lot of teams don't like it because you want the bigger body in there for the run, right? You could throw the slot in there in the bigger body, but you got that quick release. You got that quick release, the outside quick release, the inside. Like I love it, and that's what a tight end's for. Like if you want a big body in the block end to be able to go out, that's what you get a good tight end for. But you get that short wide receiver, that quick wide receiver. So many things open up in your playbook. But talking about that, I'm mad. Why have we not been using Marvin Mims?
All right, so that's the thing. He got more offensive snaps the last couple of games. They just haven't been throwing it to him. So it's like you can't get him on the field, or you can get him on the field, and he's not getting the ball. It is a confluence of factors. Let's see how it goes. I feel like the thing with Marvin Mims and why you saw him get limited snaps, even when he was getting big plays seemingly every week out there.
Yeah,
I don't know. It felt like he's just maybe it's one of those Peyton things where he's not entirely sure what he's supposed to be doing in Sean Payton's offense all the way, and so he doesn't want to put him out on the field yet. I know, I get it. It's frustrating. It's not the explanation anybody wants to hear, and it might not even be right. But that's what I'm thinking.
I'm going to think this in another role. Like Russ is, for some reason, even though he's had Jerry Jeudy, he's had Cortland Sutton for 2 years now since he's been there. But for some reason, they weren't connecting very well in the first few games. And the only ones that would have big plays is Marvin Mims just going deep.
Right.
So we saw a lot of that, and it was nice because he was making the plays. But now you're seeing him be a little bit more comfortable throwing to Jeudy and Sutton for whatever reason. It's changed in the past 3 games. Jerry Jeudy, shout out to Jerry Jeudy for that amazing catch over the middle against the Chiefs. Like double coverage, just going up for it. Like
it took 4 catches with those guys. And that's all they got, by the way. And they were all amazing catches. I think
they were all crazy catches.
Maybe weren't amazing. They were just touchdowns. So that's awesome. But I don't know why we're not getting more wide receivers involved. The receiving game is a little concerning for me. I'd love to get Dulcich back. I'd love to get Mims more involved. And I really do not understand why it's not happening more. Spotty,
Spotty's got an idea.
John, Because we had this conversation last time.
I know we did, but just do it again. Just do it again. Make me happy. Also,
is doing just fine. These running back screens are so great in the NFL.
They wide receivers
doing so great out here, guys.
Oh boy,
we're working well. That's literally the reason we won the last game.
Oh boy,
bro.
If anybody out there couldn't tell, Spotty and John were roommates for a while there in college.
Literally, why we won that game was wide receiver screens.
They go back a ways.
Running back screens, not wide receiver screens. Very different. Two different, very different plays. Running back screens were working. Wide receiver play, I mean, I don't know.
Working. If we're getting 10 yards on one play every 8 freaking plays, what is Russell Wilson's yard per catch? Okay, because I'm telling you right now, it's got to be under 10.
Well, that's kind of the thing.
I do believe that.
But that's part of Sean Payton's offense to a certain extent, right? You know, ideally, and quick game has never been Russ's strong suit, right? But quick game has been a part of the Sean Payton offense since the early days in New Orleans, and that is just one of the things I think they're really still struggling to connect on. So yeah, because I think you're right, Spotty. I think Russ's yards per average for throw is probably pretty low, but I think it's just because he's trying a lot of boom and bust plays. I think you are seeing him check it down a lot. But I also think you're trying to see him push it down the field in scenarios where the play may be called for him to do something a little different.
And I think that might be the problem because I think some of these play calls, what I am worried about, and I love a classic offense, and when you run the ball, you take time off the clock, you grind their defense, we are going to fall really quick in the next 3 games between Buffalo and Cleveland. We're going to find 2 teams where it's very difficult to run the ball on them. And if we cannot show that we have the ability to throw the ball downfield, it's going to turn ugly quickly.
You're going to see a lot of those stuffed runs real fast. Yep. Because there's just going to be no deep threat.
Hey, we gave everybody 3 weeks. They see what we're trying to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The positive there is I think Buffalo is more susceptible to the run than people think because they've been known to have a good defense for years. But I mean, I got the Broncos running backs in fantasy, and they're 18th against the run when it comes to fantasy. So whether that actually translates to a win for Broncos or like a positive for the Broncos, that's a different story. Fantasy, I understand, totally different to actual how the game plays out. But that stat alone, like that surprised me to see that because I see Buffalo on the schedule. I'm assuming, okay, I need to sit anybody on fantasy that's playing against this defense. And it doesn't seem like that's the way it is this season.
I don't see how the Buffalo's that bad. Mixon ran for 37 yards. The Buccaneers best running back ran for 39. I'm pretty sure because I got Ramondre. I saw the week before that he ran for 34. I don't see how they're 18th, man.
We'll see.
I mean, that probably to that point, and I will backtrack very quickly. That's probably including like receiving yards from running backs as well. So that's a different story. But if we're talking about running back screens, Spotty.
Yeah.
All right. No, I'm shutting this down. I'm shutting this down right now. No, we're not talking about screens for another second.
We're talking about screens for another second.
No, Jared.
So yards, but now this I can't separate by running back and wide receiver screens. So this take it for what it is. We're 89% for yards for throws behind the line of scrimmage. If we're talking screens, I'm thinking the ball's thrown behind line of scrimmage, right?
Yep.
So 89%, 90% behind line of scrimmage, which is not good. Like if you're talking about screens, that should be closer to like 95. Anyways, 4.5 yards per
not great
pass.
It's not great.
But again, we know the wide receiver screens aren't going anywhere, so maybe that's
going
offsetting
negative
our
yards.
running back screens
going
well.
-5 yards per play. It feels like. Anyways,
Yeah.
All right.
So about screens, let me give you I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
The sliding one with the extra mesh. The extra mesh on the sliding, and then you got to make sure that you're WD-40 on the thing so it doesn't squeak when you're sliding it back and forth.
You're explaining how to install a screen door. That's not a screen pass.
That's
pal.
not.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
That's a different. It's a different
Sorry,
thing.
I'm
than
going to
that.
jump to that podcast here in a minute.
You're quick, right? Yeah, they're on that's the Screen Doors podcast. This is
The home
Denver
improvements.
Broncos
Yes.
and no BS. All right, fellas.
Well,
go ahead.
Victor, I want to address this. You put it. Look, I don't want to. We'll talk about it a little bit in our closing thoughts. We talked about it pretty at length at the beginning of the show. So for everybody out there, if you missed, the show earlier on, make sure you go back and watch that. I think there's some really good conversations for sure. But look, guys, there's a lot riding on this game. I'm going to throw out there crazy prediction. I think Sean Payton is an evil genius, and we're sitting here talking about why Marvin Mims hasn't been getting much action on the field. I think he's been saving him for the second half of the season. Boom, he's comes out of nowhere. We just throw him the ball every time. Boom, touchdown, right? I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, Jerry, to answer your question, Kevin is drinking Sean Payton's Kool-Aid.
I am. Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, we talked about the adjustments that need to be made. And so before we go closing thoughts and whatnot, I think for me, one of the big things that, from all this conversation and how to not only beat the Buffs, but, have a successful second half of the season, we have to find a way to integrate players like Marvin Mims more, right? They need to get more experience, get more looks. And I think, what we're seeing here is these younger guys are stepping up. Marvin Mims, when he's out on the field with returns, he made some mistakes earlier on in the season, but he's been improving. He's looking really good. And like what you guys are saying, he has at least one really solid return a game, and it's always exciting now when we get the ball kicked or punted to us, because it's like, this could be really good, versus before it was always like, oh God, what terrible thing is going to happen here, So I don't know, guys. There's a lot of good things here, but I want to hear from you. Closing thoughts. What we need to do to beat the Chiefs. What you're looking for this second half of the season, Jared.
Bills
in the playoffs.
We already beat the Chiefs.
We beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs are.
Oh yeah, Bills. Whatever. You know what I meant.
You also called them.
We're jumping ahead of the playoffs.
Little do you know that the Sean
Buffalo
Payton
Bills
Kool-Aid is spiked.
Spiked.
Yeah, it is.
That's a spiked Sean Payton Kool-Aid. I fully expect that we're going to go in and make this a competitive game. I think that there's a chance that we could do what we did to the Chiefs. I just want to see it consistently, and I'm just not sold yet. I'm just not sold that game wasn't like we just played very well for a game. And I do believe the offense is going to come out. I think with 2 weeks of prep time, the one thing that Sean Payton has shown us is that if he has enough prep time, he's going to come out swinging, and we're going to score a little bit. In the first, it just depends on how we finish this game. What we do in the second half, of not just the season, but in the second half of every game that we played, and if we can make the adjustments to be able to adjust. If we could play the same way we did against the Chiefs, I'm jumping on board. I'm jumping on the bandwagon. Let's go. And I want to believe it, and I'm going to be supporting them. I need to see it against another good team, which will be the Bills after the bye, and then we could talk about what we're rolling into in the second half of the season. But right now, I just want to see it again.
Like it, John.
I have two thoughts. One, if you guys are not following Jared and Spotty, they are sponsoring an OnlyFans page. It's called Small Receivers in the Slot. Great content. You would not believe what you would see on there. It is
true. Crazy.
Magical.
Imagination.
There's so many things to describe that you wouldn't believe. It's art.
I've seen it. I don't believe it.
I will say, after they fired me from the OnlyFans page, a thing they were running. They kicked me out. They kicked me out of what they were doing. The
problem is that
when
me and Spotty were on camera, it didn't go down that low. So
yeah, exactly. They didn't want short person. It got really weird.
Plenty of short people. I mean, I'm literally talking about small receivers in the slot.
That's different.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's different. Keep going.
Second thought. Should I just cut off Kevin? Okay, great. 3-5 to be here right now. This would have felt like a negative feeling to start, like preseason, looking at the first half of the season. This would have felt negative. It would have felt realistic, maybe a little bit realistic. 4-4 maybe felt a little bit more realistic. So 3-5 wouldn't be the end of the world to start the season, but where the first quarter of the season was going, it's a totally different feeling, especially with the last 2 games, the way they went. I think the motivation is there. I think we can keep it going. I hope, like, God, don't let me down again, Broncos, for the fucking 8th year in a row. And
on wood.
You just leave leave it when you knock out. That's good to know. Yeah, like this Bills game is the pivotal game for the season, I think, and we just have to show up. I'm not with Kevin where I think it has to be a win, but we have to show up. And, a close loss, we can still go close to 500 in the next 3 games after that if we like show that we can have that momentum.
You'd be okay with a moral victory, basically? Like, yeah. I'm saying, like, are we back to like
I'm okay with that with the rest with the next 3 or 4 games. Yeah, okay. I'm okay with that.
No, I think that's a fair question. Like, are we back? Because before it was like, we're past that, but I think it's a fair point that
I'm saying a moral victory for me makes me think that we can still be in the hunt.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. David,
2 things. My football thoughts that are final are going to be that I'm just coalescing around this opinion right now that the Broncos are going to put the hammer down on the Bills this weekend. Okay. And
where's this energize, David?
To hear the rest of those thoughts, you're going to have to listen to the pregame podcast.
Ooh.
My secret for making a beautiful cornucopia, and I think I fast forwarded a little bit, but I want to do it now, is that you got to get fresh ingredients. You've got to go out and you've got to get,
I don't want to stale cornucopia.
No. But what I'm saying is, go get some sticks and some moss and some leaf gunk from the ground. Make it authentic.
Just going this direction.
No, make it really authentic, as fresh as it can possibly be. You want to show people a true representation of fall, and that is.
So how authentic do you want to go? As I Google this, it says a cornucopia is made with a goat's horn. Do I need to go out and get a goat's horn?
Oh, sure.
To make my
I thought that was implied. If you can't,
does that need to be fresh?
And if you can't
fresh goat's
slaughter, if you can't slaughter the goat yourself, it is okay. Have a farmer do it. If you can't source fresh goat horn, you're really going to be. I mean, you're starting off from a place of
that's number 1
already. Like, you can be the guy on your block that goes to Pier 1 Imports and gets a wicker cornucopia like everybody else. Or you can get a goat horn and make this a complete Thanksgiving, guys.
A fresh goat horn. I think that's key. I think that's
fresh goat horn. And then, like I said, some gunk, some leaves, some sticks, leaf gunk. Because fall is a time of harvest. That's true, but it's also a time of decay, a time where we transition from summer into winter, and there's some gook involved.
Good.
Well, I'll tell you what, David. After these notes I just took from you, I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to send you. I'm post some pictures.
Oh, I'm expecting
to see
pictures.
My attempt.
They will go up on the Orange Weekly Instagram, everybody. So keep an eye open for that.
Spotty, what you got?
Well, I was going to follow that up.
Spotty, over to you to follow that up. Yeah,
I know. There's apparently a lot of gunk in what I'm about to say right now. Okay? So,
what are your thoughts on goat horns?
Ooh, bro, if I do it like as a black guy, they're gonna think I'm doing like voodoo, Okay, they're so I'm gonna leave the goat chopping to you guys, okay?
Fair. It's fair.
Just one person.
I'm
not lumping into this, Spotty. This is not an Orange Weekly thing.
Hey, this is I've seen these things in like horror films, bro. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Like, the black guy always dies first in these ones. To be about the Broncos though, I will say this is not a must-win game. It's very nice to see something that is not a must-win game. Though this game can set the trend. It can set the energy for the rest of the season with the victory. But to do it, we're going to need to put together the most complete game we have all year. And by all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams, at least 3 quarters. I'm not asking for a whole game. I'm asking for 3 quarters. If we can put in a complete game against a very angry Bills team, they're looking at the standings just like the rest of us, and they see that they're not in the playoffs, and they got a hard schedule the rest of the year. So they're going to think they got to win every single game. There might be a chance that they might be even overlooking the Broncos a little bit. I do believe it's something that the Broncos, with the way that the defense is playing, it is a very winnable game. I could absolutely see us putting a pester in Josh Allen and, him giving us the ball a bunch. It is almost Thanksgiving, a lot of turnovers, if you will. So
I like that.
Oh boy.
Let's not be too, giving with the football.
No.
Got him.
No, Spotty's was good. Kevin, you go back to the drawing board. Yeah. you start over.
That's my job here. I make you all look good.
We knew what
I
David
make you all
was
look
about to
better.
give us, so we could have ended on that, because that was.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to follow that up at all. I think you
Hey,
gave an
however, the
shot there.
The turnover dad joke is good. I like it.
Yep.
I'll take it.
I got to come with it every week. I'm going to follow David.
Well, you pull a
Hey,
David
guys.
pretty much every day, right?
Somebody
true.
pulls the David every day.
Oh.
I'm pulling a David right now off camera.
OnlyFans content. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Hey guys, thanks for all your comments and everything, thoughts of the show. Look, and for everybody watching tonight, Jerry, Victor, Keith, George, let's see, Sean was here,
Anthony.
Clayton was here, Richie, probably some names I missed.
The
Andrew,
regulars.
you guys are fantastic. Thanks for tuning in again. This is why we do this show, and all of our content. Make sure you guys are subscribing, sharing the videos and everything. We put daily videos out on YouTube and stuff like that. So share that, subscribe, and all that stuff. That helps us out a ton. But with that being said, look, guys, bottom line, I'm going to continue to put this in a must win, just because of the importance of it all. But at the end of the day, maybe I'm looking through my orange, shaded goggles just a little too much. But the last 2 games and the momentum we've had with the Chiefs, and this is where, like I said, Sean Payton knows how to, keep a team focused and energized, getting ready for, what is going to be a very interesting half of the second half of the season here. So we'll see, guys. But at the end of the day, hey, we've been happy for a few weeks now, and it's been a while since we've had that.
Rare.
So
That's rare mid-season.
Rare mid-season for sure. So, well, with that being said, Jared, John, Spotty, David, you guys are fantastic as always. Great co-hosts. I think there's nothing left to say, guys, other than to end it as we always do. Very strong. Go Broncos!
Broncos!
Go Broncos!
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know I'm a